I'm Margaret MacDonald, and this is a story from Kentucky. And I'm from southern Indiana, so I can use my accent to tell this story. It's called Old Woman and Her Pig. And you may have heard a story like it from England, but this is a much better story. One time, there was an old woman, lived way up in the country. She had a little boy lived with her, and he was a good little boy. One day he went out, and he found a copper coin in the road. He said, "Ma'am, I found a copper coin." She said, "A copper coin? I'll take it to town and I'll buy us a pet. Would you like that?" She said, "I'm going to buy us a little pet pig." He said, "Oh, a pet pig, I'd like that." She said, "Well, honey, you stay home and watch the farm while I'm gone. I'll be home before it's dark so you won't be scared." And she put the copper penny in her pocket and she started off to town. And she was just a singing, "Going to town, going to buy a little pig. Jig jog, jiggity jig. I'm going to town, going to buy a little pig. A jig jog, jiggity jig." She started crossing the bridge. It made a hollow sound. "Going to town, going to buy a little pig. A jig jog, jiggity jig." Back on the road again. "Going to town, going to buy a little pig. A jig jog, jiggity jig." She got down to town and went to the pig man. "Hey, Mr. Pig Man, I want to buy a pig." He said, "What you got to buy it with?" "I got a copper coin." He said, "You can have any pig you want. Give me your copper coin." Said, "I want that fat one right there." And she started back. Said, "Pig, you got to follow me. You're too heavy to carry. Come on now, follow behind me." And she started back up the road. "I went to town and I bought a little pig. Jig jog, jiggity jig." Pig was coming right behind her. He was just squealing. Happy to be going home with that old lady. Oink, 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 oink. She started crossing over the bridge. "I went to town and I bought a little pig. Jig jog, jiggity jig. I went to town and I bought a little pig. Jig jog, jiggity jig." Pig started right after her. Oink, 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 oink. The pig was scared. He would not go across that bridge. The water was rushing by and the bridge was high. He backed off and would not move. The old lady come back and she said, "Come on, you got to go across the bridge. My little boy's at home. He's waiting for us. It's going to get dark now. He's going to be scared." Pig would not move. And the old lady sat down and she started to cry. "I can't get to my little boy tonight. It's almost dark." Looked up and she saw the big full moon coming up. Said, "But the moon does shine." That moon make enough light maybe that he wouldn't be scared. She looked around and she saw a dog coming down the road. "Dog, come here, come here. I want you to scare that pig. If you'll bark at that pig, the pig will jump over the bridge and I'll get home to my little boy tonight." And the dog said, "No, I won't do it." Bleh. Well, that's not nice. And she started to cry. "I can't get home to my little boy tonight. It's almost dark, but the moon does shine." She looked around and there was a rat coming. "Oh, rat, come here, come here. I want you to bite the dog. If you will nip the dog will bark at the pig, and the pig will jump over the bridge, and I will get home to my little boy tonight." But the rat said, "Nah, I won't do it." Bleh. Oh, that's not very nice. She started to cry again. "I can't get home to my little boy tonight. It's almost dark, but the moon does shine." Looked around and she saw a cat coming. "Cat, come here. I want you to help me out. I want you to scare the rat. If you will scare the rat will bite the dog will bark at the pig will jump over the bridge, and I will get home to my little boy tonight." And the cat said, "Little boy, is that the same little boy that used to stroke my fur?" "That's the same little boy." "Is that the same little boy that used to give me a saucer of cream to drink at night?" "That's the same little boy." "Is that the same little boy used to scratch behind my ears and it felt so good?" "Oh, that's the same little boy." "Then of course I'm going to help," said the cat. And the cat began to scare the rat. Meow, meow, meow. The rat began to bite the dog. The dog began to bark at the pig. Woof, 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 woof. And the pig jumped up and ran right across that bridge. And the old lady went right up the road just a-singing. "I went to town and I bought a little pig. Jig jog, jiggity jig. Oink, 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 oink." And they got home and little boy hadn't been scared at all because it sure was dark, but the moon did shine.